Our kids come from, well, last year we had 19 different states represented. This year we're right at that. We've also had kids from Hungary. We've had a young man come from France. And so we've been able to meet people from all over the world. When we look for a horse, we like the good old sound ranch horse that you can do just about anything on, something that you'd be willing to put your grandkids on as well. It takes probably, we figure about 7 years to make a horse that will work for Rainbow. We don't like the idea of one horse just following another horse's tail. I tell them they can ride beside me or behind me, but not in front of me. We really try to teach them how to ride, and we're allowed that opportunity with the ranch. Just the lay of the land, it's rugged enough, but yet we don't have a lot of rocks, we don't have a lot of trees that people are going to run into. With the cattle and everything, it gives the kids a feel for Western South Dakota agriculture, ranching in particular. I think that it allows the young person to become more of a horseman, an equestrian. They have to do a little thinking. We like to get them to realize that they have the opportunity to combine their minds together, their mind with the horse. They're not the boss of that horse, they're the captain of the team. And I think my favorite line is, when you combine those two minds, you get one great heart. There is so much out there, the subtle beauty of the plains and the hills, the beauty of God's handiwork. When you realize the variety of life, even on this ranch, on the Lone Tree, probably 100 different varieties of forbs and grasses and plants, to take time and introduce them to some of the very most common. It's fun to show them western wheatgrass, especially this year when it is headed out and looks so beautiful and is waving in the wind. I like to share that with them. And then just the wildlife, the deer and the antelope. So it's really fun to help kids to discover. I think we live in an area where it's a treasure, and you look off there and you could go for 25 miles and you won't run into a field or a house or anything. It's just open grass and hills, and it's cattleman's country. My grandparents homesteaded here in the early 1900s, and we have the awesome privilege of not only enjoying our heritage, but we also have the opportunity to share a legacy. With the storm Atlas last October 4th, we lost nearly 100 head of horses. This is an area that lost over 50 to 60,000 head of livestock. For a whole mile, there were just bodies of these beloved horses. When it came time to bury them, we had certain neighbors that said they'd sure come and help us and that. But it was a situation where I think our children needed to just work through that process. So we gathered up all those bodies and buried them in a grave up here on the top. Just took our time and shed some tears. And probably one of the best pictures that I remember is standing back looking at some of the dead horses, and I saw my kids, and they had circled together and they were praying. We want to remember the good things about those horses, but we also want to be reminded of how God has provided for us to continue on, even in the face of such what the world definitely calls tragedy.